Hi! In this video I want to talk about the sticky component, which is actually an additional component from the UIkit framework. So it's not part of the core, but as you can see in the documentation, you can see it in the components section. Sticky describes the behavior of an element when you actually scroll past it. So for example, this div here will stick to the top. And the component actually has some options, like you can actually stick it somewhere below the top, or you can just enable the sticky behavior after a certain delay, and so on and so on. So what we're going to do in this example is apply this to our navigation bar that we created in the last step. And also here you'll see how the more, let's say, advanced options in UIkit work with the JavaScript components. So let's go to the markup. Because the sticky component is not part of the core, we have to add additional CSS and JavaScript files. Here you see that I've added the CSS file, which actually comes from the same style, like the almost flat style, and I've added the JavaScript for the sticky. So what we're going to do, because this is a JavaScript component, we're going to add a data attribute. Data UK sticky. I'll just save, go to the browser, refresh, we start scrolling, and as you can see, it sticks to the top, just like we wanted. Now, we want to use some more features of the component actually, because as you can see here, this navigation bar has like some round edges, and depending on the style, it might even have, I don't know, like some border that looks really ugly when it just sticks to the top here. So what we can do is we can add an additional class when the element is actually in the sticky state. So let's have a look at how to actually pass parameters to the sticky component. We use the value of this data attribute, and we do it in the form of, which pretty much looks like a JSON representation of a JavaScript object. So you start with adding curly braces, and then you we use the parameter CLS active, which stands for the active class in this case, and we'll say what class should be added. The navbar actually comes with a class, UK navbar attached, I think, which removes like the round borders and like something like that. So we'll just add that class when we are in the sticky state. Go to the top, refresh. Now you might see we still have the round edges in the default state, which is exactly like we wanted. And now that it's sticky, the round edges have disappeared, and actually I think the border disappeared as well, except at the bottom, which is exactly like we wanted. Now what we can also do is we can add an offset, which means sometimes you don't want to have the element be sticky at the very top of your window, but you want to have it somewhere below. In our case, this is exactly what we want, like the default behavior, but we can also use the top offset to set a delay. If we use a negative value, like, I don't know, -100, I'll refresh. I start scrolling, and you see that the element scrolls past the window, but when we scroll 100 pixels or more, it will reappear. So this is quite nice when you want to, really want to have the user scroll over your content before you start adding the navigation bar again. But this, like, immediate appearing works, but we can do better than that. We can actually add an animation. So there's the animation parameter, and we just give it a class that it should add on the element. And UIkit comes with a few animation classes. They all start with uk-animation dash and then the name of the animation. We'll choose the slide animation, the slide top animation. So I refresh here. Oh, and as you can see here, we get this nice sliding in animation of our element when it appears. So this is nice. This is exactly like we wanted. And this still works. But now that we have the sticky navigation, you see that when we jump to the launch here, the navigation actually covers the headline. So we want to change that. But this is actually a task for the next step, which I'll explain in the next video.